when I joined the company, sorry to say it like that, all the watches, all black, was black faces. And I'm a very colorful man.
Yeah.
You can see that. I have very shiny
happy.
shoes. I have always my glasses in this area. So I said, we also need some coloring, but we need to respect our heritage. So we cannot just go too far. And when I joined it, of course, there was made a strategy from the company owners, and I went in and evaluated that strategy to see how I can refine it. So basically, the road that we have defined was okay, but we need to cater into the segments better than we did. So we still have, the part which is the military DNA, if you want to say it like that, the Navy SEALs. Then we have the more outdoor. Now we partnered up with Bear Grylls, and then we had also the diving part. We'll never be able to take up the battle against T-Sword or other groups from a marketing point of view. So we said we need to find our niche.
How's Kuwait so far? Is this your first time or?
First time in Kuwait.
How do you see it so far?
Very impressive. It's really nice to see. It's different because I came from Dubai, and Dubai it's much more skyscrapers and very modern.
Yeah.
And then when you come out from the airplane and you jump into the airport and you see the first thing I got in the face was McDonald's, Hardee's, and Burger King. I said, okay, yeah. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that.
Really? In Kuwait? No. Why?
I didn't thought you were so much into the American lifestyle in that sense from the fast food chains. But of course, when you're looking back in the history, yes, could imagine that.
Definitely, yeah.
Amazing place, great malls. I learned all the malls, right? It's too hot for me outside. I'm used to a good summer in Denmark. It's 20 degrees.
That's a good winter.
That's a good summer. and 3 times, we call it a tropical night if we have 25 degrees at nighttime throughout the whole 24 hours. That normally only happens like 3 times in a year. But that's it. Now in Switzerland where I live now, it's of course a little bit different. But it's not that hot.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just like, whoa. But we've been laughing about that all day long.
It's not even hot yet. What's going on?
No, I heard that. I heard that. Oh.
That means it's not even hot yet.
No, they said that. Just wait, come in 1 month and then you will see it. You can't even walk here. And you said 55 was the...
55.
$55. No, we have when we go to Finnish sauna in Denmark, it's 60.
So it's basically
so basically you're just in a sauna the whole day long.
Exactly.
And I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I have to admit that. So
yeah. Well, first of all, let's talk about you. So how did you get into the industry of watches and such? What is the history? Which brands did you start with?
Oh, I started in the furniture business. So selling very exclusive Danish furnitures from Fritz Hansen was called, and very well-known design brands, and also very high-priced. And we did have a partner back then in UAE as well, I can recall. So I did that for 15 years, and then I kind of built up the whole East Bloc. So I started in Denmark. I'm originally from Denmark, and then I relocated to Berlin when the wall went down. And then I started working for the company from Germany and Berlin, and then into the whole East Bloc back then.
Only furniture?
Only in furniture. And then after that, I took my MBA, and then I moved into Cadbury Schweppes, working for Cadbury Schweppes. That's where I stayed in Norway for 8 years. So I was head of the operation for Cadbury Schweppes up in Norway and in Finland. So I've been many times in Finland as well, and also worked in the Swedish Cadbury Schweppes, management team. I did that for almost 8 years. And then I was recruited back from a headhunter to the furniture business for a Norwegian brand down to Germany. So I kind of went back again to Germany.
And which positions you're doing these, like sales, head of sales?
No, I was always a CEO or country manager.
Okay.
In those positions. And
I mean, overseeing kind of all
overseeing
of the
everything from product development, if we had local product development to be done in the markets, and also mainly then sales and operation, of course. And then I went to Germany for this furniture company called Stressless. So very mainstream recliners. I wouldn't say very kind of like mid-range furniture, but you have the volume. And that's where you learn the volume business and understanding how important it is of having volume in the right placement. So you took that from fast-moving consumer goods, try to find out where you want to have your furniture placed in big furniture shops. So I learned a lot from that. And when I stopped there, then I started building stores. So I built and constructed store for H&M and different kind of brands that you have globally. So we did that in Germany, and also in basically in what we call the DACH region, which is Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and a little bit of Holland and other markets. I only did that for like 1.5 years because that was not me. I've always been working with brands, and I thought that doing such things was designing the stores because I really love design. And then I just found out that was not me. It was just basically flipping contractors and making 5 to 10% profit of what they're doing, and boring. And then I went back and I had my own consultant company. And back then I was hired by Pandora. I'm pretty sure you know Pandora, the Danish jewelry brand.
Yeah.
So I did the turnaround for them
yeah.
in Germany for Central Western Europe. So when I started,
had the period, they were very popular.
they were at that. Pandora used to have a life cycle. So after 5 to 8 years in a market, it kind of like peaks and then it goes down. And Germany was the oldest market that Pandora had, so it went all the way down, and it came to a point where the product was not really attractive anymore. It was over-distributed, and I went in and changed the strategy there. So I went in and took control of the old stores. We bought back all our franchisees partner. We opened all our own stores. We closed a lot of multi-brands. From 4,500 point of sales, we only closed those to only 650 and tripled the turnover.
Oh, wow.
By taking control of the brand, and the brand became desirable again. And that was kind of like the roadmap for Pandora going forward, and they've been doing that quite a while. Then I worked for a Russian company called Sokolov in jewelry also. And I very fastly found out that was not really me.
Did you move to Russia?
I was living in Moscow, so I was going back and forward. So I have my wife, and my family was always stationed in Hamburg. Back then, and then I was 3 weeks in Russia, and then 1 week at home, and 3 weeks in Russia, 1 week at home. To a certain extent, I always do that when I change jobs. I stay there for like 1 year when you're commuting, and then you decide, okay, is that really for you or isn't it? And you want to bring your family or not? And in that case, I decided not to bring the family because it was just awkward, say it like that.
Okay.
And then Moundin came, Moundin Watch Limited, which are the owners of Lumondi. Not Lumondi, sorry, for Lominox.
Yeah.
So Lominox is the brand that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
And I joined the company for 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was your first experience into watches?
Correct.
Have you been a watch guy yourself?
No. It's very embarrassing because my son, he was working for Buchera.
Yeah.
And I had to call him up and ask, sorry, Christian, can you tell me what's the difference between a quartz and a chrono? And it's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I had to get a crash course from one of my sons. As I told you before, I have 5 kids.
Yeah, mashallah.
And I had a crash course for my son. But at the end of the day, it's a brand and it's a product that's tangible. I think that's important for me. And when I looked at the company, we have 4 brands in total. We have Pierre Cardin, which is fashion, and sold very strongly here in the Middle East. And then we have M-Watch, which is kind of like the Volkswagen, as we call it, the people brand. So that's a brand that we sell mainly in Switzerland for the normal consumers so that they can afford it. And it's inspired by great designs. I think that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. And
then we have Moundin, which is the classic Moundin Bahnhofsuhr, as we say, the railway station watch. I know you tried to sell it here. It's very, monobrand design, very timeless.
Very minimalist. Very Bauhaus.
Very elegant and cool. Great story. But it's also a brand which is very limited, where you cannot do a lot because you have regulation. You have to respect the design. You cannot change the design of the dial. The only thing you could change is actually the watch case and the straps.
Wait, even for the consumer side?
Even for the consumer side.
Because I know that the railroad. So if I'm in Switzerland, I see it officially.
Yeah.
But I cannot do a consumer watch like with a red dial.
We have
reverse
we do the consumer watches as well, but we cannot change the watch face. So that means that the dial is always the same, and then you have the second hand, the kralle as we call it, the signature, with the little round dot on it.
Yeah.
Always have to be like that, and it's
Interesting.
really designed how much and the difference to the index minutes and everything. So not
So the only
changeable.
selling point is that it's exactly like the watch you see in the railroad.
Yeah, it has
That's
been
all.
like for 75 years the design has been like that, so it hasn't changed. And that's the selling point. And it's also a cool selling point. So it's also very, typical Swiss. So if people want something from Switzerland,
They would take that.
they will always buy it. So we have a lot of turnover in Switzerland selling to tourists that's coming in
Tourists, yes.
and visiting, and they're having to see it, and they bring it back.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we have Luminox
Yeah.
as the key brand. The majority of our turnover is done by Luminox. And Luminox for me is a brand that I really can identify myself with. When I joined the company, I said, wow, that's a cool story because it's authentic. It's nothing that, someone just made up by them and thought, hey, this is a cool thing, let's do it. It's really a cool story how it started out.
Can you tell us the story a bit?
Yeah, well, this American founder was born and designed, if you want to say it like that, in the States from a guy in the U.S. Based in California, Barry Cole. And he went on a fair where also the Navy SEALs was out there back then looking for the watch. So he designed the watches like 36 years ago. And he tried a lot back and forward. But in 2000, 31 years ago to be precise, then we can do the math afterwards. But 31 years ago, there was a guy called Nick that went on a fair in the US on a watch fair looking for watches for the Navy SEALs to operate with. And he picked then, Lominox, he picked Omega, he had Rolex, he had a lot of brands. And so they went through their normal testing. And last year we were celebrating the 35 years of Lominox, but we were celebrating also the 30 years of the Navy SEALs Corporation. So I actually went to the boot camp. And when we saw where they train the staff, and I also met with Nick and the different people that were back then found the watches, and it was so funny. He had a story he was telling about the watches. I can send you that link afterwards. I cut it down for like 8 minutes, but he was talking about 1 hour, how they chose it and what they did in order to test it. And he told me, he had an issue because after they testing all the great brands, even Rolex, they said they tested it, and Rolex sales guy was so proud, hey, we have this cool watches. We throw it behind the motorboat and we dragged it in the water for I don't know how many kilometers. And he said, but why would they do that? We don't even do that with our people.
Yeah.
So they tested it in different ways. The way he tells the stories, it's just hilariously. And by that, a lot of other brands, they failed. The only one that made it was Luminox. So that's a big cadeau, as we say, to us. And that's how the whole corporation started.
Yeah.
And then they came up with the special needs. It's got to be visible at night. You got to have the night view. You got to be able to see it when you're diving. It has to be light, so it cannot be still. That's where we developed the Carbonox. And the Carbonox, what you think, it's kind of like blackish. As you can see here, it's not black. It's kind of like gray, but it's a certain black that doesn't reflect. So they put a lot of effort into the development of the watches in order to meet the demands from the SEALs back then.
So
And
basically, you produced a watch specifically for them.
We only produced the watch specifically for them in the beginning. So it was co-developed together with the SEALs. And 20 years after, they had a blind test when they did the same thing when they went out and randomly to test all kind of brands. And exactly the only one that passed all their needs, what they needed to, was also Luminox. So that emphasized still, so it's a very, durable watch made for those specific tasks what they need to.
Do you know the tests they do usually? You say they don't drag it and such.
No,
You have few things?
they had a specification back then. Now we have a watch, actually the one that I'm carrying right now, it's a mil spec, which is according to the military specs that they have designed. What they did afterwards, they didn't do that in the past, but they have just set up the standards. This is what it needs to do. But they have different kind of tests where, the drop test, the fall, the durability, water, deep, sky, sea, air, land, they're operating both in sea, air, and land. So it has to be, meeting the demands for the mission.
Yeah.
And that's what they tested. So they tested for like 2 or 3 months. And then based on the feedback, which one didn't break, which one made it, those are the one who continued. And that was Lominox at that time.
And honestly, this is one of the things that I want to talk about, the quality of your watches.
Yeah.
I try them. They're really durable.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very important part still of the company, right?
Yeah. The key DNA, we have, when I joined the company, we were only black. Sorry to say it like that. All the watches, all black, was black faces. And I'm a very colorful man.
Yeah.
You can see
Very
that. I
happy-
have
very
very
happy
shiny
with it.
shoes. I have always my glasses in this area. So I said we also need some coloring, but we need to respect our heritage. So we cannot just go too far. And when I joined it, of course, there was made a strategy from the company owners, and I went in and evaluate that strategy to see how I can refine it. Because what I've been doing in the past was always, turnarounds and refitting and repositioning brands in the past. So basically, the road that we have defined was okay, but we need to cater into the segments better than we did. So we still have, the part which is the military DNA, if you want to say it like that, the Navy SEALs, where we came from. Roughly 30 to 40% of our total collection is catering to that area. Then we have the more outdoor. Now we partnered up with Bear Grylls because he's an outdoor enthusiast, which we think is pretty okay because we're not really a fan of war, so we want to play it down. So we also need, ambassadors and people that like that lifestyle, which is outdoor activity. So we have that range that we made. And then we had also the diving part where we're having the more outgoing, if you want to be a little bit more extreme. So that's where we created the Pacific Diver. And then we have the route lifestyle, as we say. Not the lifestyle, because we will never be able to compete against the big ones. We'll never be able to take up the battle against T-Sword or other groups from a marketing point of view. So we said we need to find our niche. And that's where we defined the lifestyle products, where we have the Pacific Divers, where we add in the colors here.
Yeah. And this is what I notice is that now when you see Lominox, you see a lot of nice colors, additions, and ideas still around the same. I mean, still around the same.
Still the same DNA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The DNA, and it's unbeatable, our lighting technology.
Yeah.
The Luminox lighting technology, that's what, when I really joined the company, I said, oh God, we got to make a plan B. Because it is tracer light, tracer gas we have in it. So it's tritium gas we put in the tubes. And basically we are upcycling. So we're taking radioactive water, clear it out, take the gases out, and put it in the small tubes, and it's lightning. So every 12 and a half year, the gas is reducing by half. And that's the reason why we say we can keep it up to, a human eye can see it up to 25 years, but it actually goes on to 75 years.
75 years.
Yeah. And it's the same exposure if you're taking the plane from here to Dubai. That's the same exposure you'll get over a full year. So it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put that into the watch and it's lightning and glowing all the time, we have some countries where there are restrictions where we cannot sell it, like Italy, for instance, or France. So France, they passed laws since decades that we cannot sell the watch in France because it's illegal. They don't accept to have tritium gas in consumer products.
Interesting, yeah.
But the military, of course, can use it, but they cannot use it for normal consumption. Mm-hmm. And Italy did it 3 years ago. They suddenly changed the law, so we were forced to take all our watches back in Italy from our distributor.
Yeah.
So
I thought that's the whole idea of having it in a tube. If you go to the history of tritium and whatever happened in watchmaking.
Yeah, but that's also the story behind it. And you have it in every firearm, basically. In the if you are a sniper, you have this little red corn that you can look at, and that's actually also the same tritium gas. You have it in tanks, just much bigger. Oh. So it always light at night. When you're in the tanks, go down, everything's dark, you cannot see it. So they have a tritium, lightning system, which is huge, which would never be accepted for normal use, because the exposure, if it breaks, it would actually have an impact.
Yeah.
And that's also when we have the production, we have Geiger sensors, so we can actually measure if something happens. Even though if you drop one gas tube goes up, we clean the air completely. It's not dangerous, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have put into the watches. And that's the cool stuff because it lights, it glows for up to 25 years. And that was one of the things that really fascinated me because, of course, not everyone, but, I had my Rolex and my submarine. I'm very pleased about it. And the Super Luminova you have, it lights like 4 hours maybe, if I'm lucky. Most of the time only.
Yeah.
Most of the time only like 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the standard. And ours just continue lightning. And it doesn't need to be recharged. Like, if you have your Rolex, you got to go in the light source.
Yeah.
Oh, look here how cool it is.
Have a UV light in my pocket usually.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that really triggered me when I saw it the first time. And I just love it the way it works. And that's the reason why we said, no, that's a DNA, that's a core. We got to continue doing that. So therefore, you will never find a Rolex, not a Rolex, you will never find a Luminous watch with a non-tube or Luminous light technology, as we call it.
Very interesting.
But going back to the question before when I said I need to find a plan B, so we worked on different kind of materials in case that you cannot have the tritium gas anymore. So there is a possibility to build something in ceramic. It only lasts for 4 hours. And we decided that doesn't work either. It's the pureness of the
ceramic
product.
It's a mix of ceramic and supernova.
Yeah. So you can mix it in a compound so it could last for 4 years. So we actually, or 4 hours. So we actually did a test. So we have a standard Super Luminova, which is used in most of not our watches, but most of the high-priced watches. And then you have ours. So you will see in the spec that the Super Luminova lights stronger in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then it fades down around 20 minutes. It's kind of like fading out, and ours is stable. Mm-hmm. So they start here, and then you could drop down, but ours is stable. But it lasts for 25 years.
Yeah.
So, and that's, of course, the uniqueness that is unbeatable. And it costs, every tube costs $10. Don't forget that. And you have 12, and then you have the hands, second hands, and then you have here. So 13. So you always have a price disadvantage with over $130 to $500 to $150. That's what people doesn't understand. So when you take the comparison, if you take a Tissot or you take a Hamilton or whatever watch you will take, you will always, Luminous is pretty expensive compared to those. Why are you so expensive? You're Swiss made because of the tubes. If we will take out the tubes, we'll be just at the same price level as the other ones.
I see it the other way around. One of the things that I like about your watch is still Swiss made, reasonably priced. So if I go with the quartz or such, we're talking about 200 KD or 250, 280.
Yeah.
I think it's still reasonably priced for a watch that I can use it for everything.
Yeah, so, I fully agree. Yeah. But that's also what we're trying to convey to and tell to the people. But a lot of our consumers, at least over in the States, they always address this point here.
Mm. Let's move to Kuwait.
Yeah.
First of all, how long is your relationship been so far?
8 years.
8 years. And
8
this is
wonderful
your first time
years.
in Kuwait?
This is my first time.
6 years ago, yeah.
I started 6 years ago, and they have been bugging me on and say, "Come on, Nils." Last time I sent my brand manager Pierrick. He's the brand man of Luminous. I sent him over here like 2 years ago. And I always said, I'm going to make it this year. And then we have a summit every year where we meet up and see all the novelties. And we always have the pleasure of having the Kuwaiti team coming. And so this time I just said, I have to. I cannot do it without. So this time I have to go.
Hopefully you enjoy your stay this time.
So far, I've really enjoyed it. I have to say, amazing job what they have done. And I can vouch already now here, Kuwait is the best place for Luminous to be purchased.
That's really good.
From the stores, the execution, it's really phenomenal. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to the team.
And thanks to you, because also my next question would be, you mentioned ambassadors.
Yeah.
And we're very proud to have Yusuf Al-Shatli as someone who represents a Swiss brand in Kuwait.
Yeah.
So tell us about this collaboration.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Nothing is
Exactly.
impossible. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Well, again, it was when we haven't came up with the idea, right? 2 years ago, you presented and say, hey, we would really love to have a local ambassador, and we always try to endorse it if we have the possibility to get local ambassadors. And we saw his skill set. He is from the Navy SEALs, I think, as well, and he's very into sustainability and capture the nature. So he kind of like, it's a perfect match if you look at what would be the ideal candidate from our point of view and what would be the ideal candidate from your point of view. And we say, wow, why not? And we like his claim. And we also like his attitudes, never giving up, every second count like we have. So it's just a perfect fit. And he's a true Lominox.
He's a,
User.
perfect. He's a perfect human being. I mean, he does everything that he can do. MashaAllah.
Yeah.
And it's a very,
I'm looking forward. I'm going to have the pleasure of hopefully seeing him in two. Yeah, tomorrow we'll see him, but also in 2 weeks he will come to our factory and see it, and it's going to be very interesting also to greet him there and to see what. So he has a chance to experience. Okay, this is Lominox. This is how it's assembled.
No, he's very proud of it, and we're very proud. And the last time we met him, we talked about it. So yeah, very happy that you chose someone in Kuwait. It's very nice. Yeah.
No, but I also think when you have the possibility to have a local ambassador, you should really reach out for it. There's two reasons for it. First of all, it resonates to the brand, but secondly, it also resonates to the nation, and it's a much better, closer link and tied to it. As we have Bear Grylls as the global ambassador, if you want to say it like that. The funny part, he used to represent another brand, and in his spare time, he was wearing our product. And then we reached out to him and say, hey, you're wearing the product anyway. Why would you not be our ambassador? And yeah, I'd love to. And that's how the cooperation started just like 6 years ago. And we have been developing a lot of novelties together with Bear Grylls, and we're very proud of that cooperation as well. But we have a lot of cooperations. So we are cooperating with the Navy SEALs foundations. We're cooperating with a lot of local initiatives around the globe. And we're also having a new cooperation coming up with a coral saving team for Blue Forces, as we call them. It's some veterans from United States Army that is preserving the corals around the world. And we think this is a good cause. We have also cooperation with an organization that preserves the sea turtles. So we do a lot in this area that really takes care of the environment and the nature. And we even got, I think we have 2 sharks named for, one from Lominox and another one from Nox, I think it's called. We have that, yeah.
Bull sharks.
In Fiji.
Yeah, in the Fiji.
Fiji. Very cool.
So we also had a cooperation with her for a while. So we do a lot of that where we try to find not the big famous one. First of all, we cannot afford it. And secondly, we also want the authenticity. We want people really, identify themselves with the values of the brand.
They would definitely wear like you see some ambassador for other brands, you say, okay, he's going to wear it for the ad, and the next day he'll just go back to his.
Yeah, but that's what most of them does, right? And here in the case when the people actually wear them. Now, I have a good friend of mine in Denmark. He knows a very famous actor, fun guy. And he makes a lot of comedy series and stuff like that. And said, my good friend, hey, listen up, Niels. Are you okay there? I can give him a watch. And say, yeah, of course you can give him a watch. So they just taped a soap opera over 12 series, which is kind of like Danish humor. So I can't share it here, but funny. And he was wearing the Lominox watch the whole session.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see how people are identified with it. And this is a cool watch.
Yeah.
And I have another story. Probably you shouldn't use that for your podcast, but I'll tell it anyway. A very good friend of mine, the same guy that I talked to, he was selling, used watches, so Audemars Piguets and Patrick's and Rolex. And he had a guy who had an Audemars Piguet, which cost like $75,000. He gave it into him and said, "Can you please try to sell it?" And he was trying to sell it for 3 months, and he couldn't sell it. And then he called him up and said, "Hey, you know what? What should I do with your watch? You want it back? No, you can still keep it in commission." "Are you sure? Because it's a very nice watch." "Yeah, but I found another watch I really liked." And then he started. Said, so what is that watch? So it's a Pacific Diver from Lominox. And then he recalled, because it was an old friend of mine up in Norway, and then he called me, hey, Niels, aren't you the CEO of Lominox? Is it okay that I sell your watches? Can I sell them? I just think it's a hilarious story.
Yeah.
So how things tied together. And that's how that came up.
Yeah.
By
Interesting.
coincidence.
Yeah.
But we're also in very many American movies. We are a lot of product placement.
Yeah, I've seen a lot.
So if you see the SWAT team, the SWAT series, the Rookie, I think it's LA, there's Chicago Police, and a lot of these stories, or soap operas, they have
Sounds
it in.
good. So let's end with one question then. If you have one watch to wear from Lominox for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Sports timer.
Sports timer?
I love the sports timer. It's one of my favorite. So should I? I get in trouble. No, before I joined the company, I signed up for Hulk. You know, the one from Rolex. And then I came into to the store like 3 years ago, and I was still, hey, I've been waiting for this watch for so long. It's gonna happen, or what's gonna happen here? I say no, it's not gonna happen. And then I say, okay, you know what? Because first of all, they discontinued it, and I didn't want to buy a used one. And then I say, okay, you know what? I don't care. I'll just make my own. And they, excuse me, what do you say? You make your own? So the sports timer is a watch that we did like 25 years ago when I joined the company back then. So it means that's also like 30 years old. So it's a very classic watch. It's beautiful, and we only have it in black. But I then, took the same color from green and made my own. And today we sell it quite well. So, but I just love it. I have so many watches I really love. So it's from sports timers. Right now I'm wearing the mil-spec, again in a special version for Niels because I like color.
Yeah.
And I always test it out like that. And then when I go travel, I test it and I hear the response.
Yeah.
If people likes it or not. And that's how we test the different color scheme as well sometimes. And then, no, but really, there's so many beautiful watches.
Yeah. I agree.
And they're so durable. The quality is great.
You don't worry at all.
So from my point of view, we're extremely proud that we're still a family company. So we're not belonging to a big group, and that we have the flexibility and can do a great timepiece in Switzerland. So
that's
keen on
great.
that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
You enjoy your stay in Kuwait, and we hope to see you more often. On a
you will see me more often, but it will always 3 to 4 years time frame because I'm traveling really all over the place, and I have to fit it into my very special time schedule. But I'm looking forward. Tomorrow we're going to see the pop-up store.
Yeah.
So I'm really keen on seeing how that's going. I know it's extremely beautiful. Yeah. And I want to say once again to Timekeeper, really thank you for supporting us and also supporting the brand and Lominox and online as well.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much. Appreciate
You're welcome.
It. Thanks a lot.
Thanks you.